And there's so many ways to generate money with a podcast. But if you just use these 4 strategies in the very beginning, you don't need a big following or a big subscriber base to start making this money. You can literally generate as little as $1,000 a month, which is a lot of money that a lot of podcasters aren't getting. That's $12,000 a year.
Hey, I'm interested.
Only like 9 to 10 clients. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, well, this your guy tuned in, Tony, and I've got Brendan Boyd on the podcast today. And then, as you guys have been seeing me watching you on YouTube, as I've been growing my YouTube channel through a podcast personally, I had to get the person who is skilled at this. He's a digital marketing entrepreneur that helps clients literally monetize their podcast. And the thing that's so great about podcasting today is just how you can chop them up into using for different sources by long form content, breaking it down into short form content. And it's literally, if you don't have this type of content, you're almost missing out. So you guys know that I love bringing experts in their field on this show. So who better not to have when we're talking about content than my guy, Brendan Boyd. What's up, bro? How you doing?
Hey man, listen, can I take you on the road with me? That was a crazy intro right there.
Definitely, bro. So yeah, how did you pretty much before we get into your backstory, I just want to break down what got you into the podcasting, what opportunities did you see, and how did you land in this role?
All right, man. So let me bring it back to 2018. I'm in my office, my real estate office. I'm in Boston. I don't know the season, but I'm cold on the inside. You know what I'm saying? Boston's cold generally, but I'm feeling cold on the inside. I'm feeling cold on the inside because as I'm talking to one of my best friends, I'm like, damn, my friendships extend at the current friendships that I have that are literally in the city that I live in. I don't have any friends that are millionaires. And it wasn't like, oh, I needed a friend just because a friend had a millionaire. When I say I needed, I felt like I didn't have any millionaire friends. I just felt like the information that that was available to me through my friendships was limited. I felt like it was really parallel. Like a lot of my friends were corporate. I was one of the only ones that were doing entrepreneurship. I had a brand clothing company of 10 years. So when I had said that to her, it was more like I need to get around more people. I need to put myself in environments where that I'm the least informed person in the room. I want to be able to tap into information that they have and be able to level me up. And then also literally be able to know that I have friends. I do have some friends that are millionaires or multimillionaires or whatever the case may be. Right? Just tap into a larger network. So with that being the case, I had no idea how I was going to establish these relationships. I wasn't thinking about mentorships back then. I wasn't thinking about coaching programs. I wasn't thinking about none of that. So the best thing that I thought that I could do was create interviews, create a platform that I could have interviews, and then I could start meeting people and start interviewing people. Now at this time, I wasn't even looking at it as a podcast. So my first 18, 19 interviews, which I think they're still on YouTube. They went under the brand service only, right? Because I felt like I was only bringing service to the people, like real people, real conversations. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't look at it as a podcast. I didn't present it as a podcast. It was more like an interview series. So doing those 18, 19 interviews, I started to really get my conversational chops up. I started to get my networking up anyway. And I started really being able to bring people on, that platform that I wanted to hand select. Now, as I started to do that, I noticed that all I got was yeses. Like no one was saying no to me, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, if I'm getting some people that I want to talk to, what if I just kind of just raise the caliber, so to speak, of people or persons to converse with on the platform, and then I just started to do that. And that's when I was like, oh wow, I think I can start leveraging, these conversations as a means for me to start developing these relationships. So that's kind of like where it started to come from. When I eventually moved from Boston to LA, I really established it as a podcast. I changed the name to On the Pursuit, and then I started to really start pinpointing and intentionally selecting people for me to get on the show but network with.
Got you, got you. And what you're saying is actually so true because for me personally, I had went through, like I was telling you before the podcast started, I've been doing clothes for over a decade, right? And I always had this graphic design skill. And what I learned from my podcast journey is that sometimes you already have the skill that you need to succeed, but it's not in the right vehicle. So once I took that graphic design skill and parked it from being in clothing to putting it into digital marketing with high level clients, it was like my career pivoted and just skyrocketed, right? And then what I started doing to build traffic for my funnel agency was I started a podcast. And my goal was never to grow a big podcast. It was literally to build authority. So, I had the high quality cameras, and then it was like you get 1 to 2 big names just from rubbing shoulders. Cause like you said, they weren't saying no. Then when it was like everybody's like, I got to do a podcast with you. So the way that I looked at it, which is where you would understand, was I said, okay, I've got these high quality cameras. There's Sony A64s, $1,000 cameras, probably got 3 of them, right? I've set up this studio to where now it's like the podcast is becoming my leverage to rub shoulders with these millionaires, right? Because like you said, they weren't saying no. So then now that I'm getting this podcast with these people who are killing in the digital space, their friends are seeing those same podcasts. I'm seeing people now that I used to not be able to get conversation with just because they were busy and they didn't see the value at the moment, to now where they're like, yo, when I'm in Atlanta, I have to pull up. So I looked at it like, all right, I record podcasts. I get long form on YouTube. I'm now making like passively $250 a month off of YouTube ad revenue.
Videos that you were going to do anyway.
Videos I was going to do anyway. Then I'm taking those, having them cut down into shorts that I'm putting as YouTube shorts to also boost the revenue of my subscribers, then putting it on my IG to build that content, but that's also just creating a humongous authority, turning these people into clients. So what you're saying is like where people need to be at, and that's what you're pretty much teaching people.
Yeah, 100%, man. So I just want to kind of touch back on some things that you said, right? So why don't we just go with they're not saying no. So the reason why I want to really harp on that is because they aren't saying no, right? And they may not say yes right now, but it generally has to do with scheduling or where your podcast may be. So if you got a brand new show, you could still get somebody like a Him 500 or Neo or a Dave Meltzer or a Sean Cannell or whatever. You just may need more episodes.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's not a question of are they going to be on or aren't they going to be on? Is what episode are they going to be on? You know what I'm saying? So podcast Purgatory happens between episode 7 to 15. That means when these shows start, and there's over, I think at this point, there's over 1 million podcasts are in the United States right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't keep going. So podcasts typically die between episode 7 to 15. So if you can just reach episode 16, you're already in a vast majority of podcasts that are actually a real, you're really doing this. So that's one of the things that may prevent you from getting a guest, because they need to see, is it real? Like, does this person really do this consistent enough that I'm going to take an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours out of my day to sit down and have a conversation, which I would do anyway, but I just want to make sure the pod is a real pod. Now you solve that problem. What you need to understand is that you're creating a platform for people to do what they actually want to do. They want to talk about themselves. They want to talk about their product. They want to talk about their service. And then the know, like, trust that you're going to be developing during that episode is basically going to make you guys almost like the best of friends, right? So what happens from there is then, like, what Tom mentioned is you're able to then successfully reverse pitch, not a hard sell, but a reverse pitch, creating an opportunity where now that guest can become a client of yours. And then if you're selling high ticket or mid ticket or whatever the case may be,
that's exactly what
exactly. Now you got a client that's verifiable. him or her edifies you because now that person is a client of yours. You can leverage that show. You can leverage that relationship. Once you get that win, now you got a really solid testimonial. So you're really able to go crazy. And that's just scratching the surface.
And so let's talk about this too. When you said that podcast Purgatory starts between about podcast episode like 7 to 16, right? So what I want to know, because this is my experience too, when people even ask me to be on podcasts, somebody who's just getting started in the podcast game, sometimes like I'm not looking at views as the total metric. It's just like, what's the quality of their show? Because I feel like that's where I'm looking at is I don't have crazy views, but people want the quality content. So they say yes, because they're like, I'll do that. So could you speak on that for people who are, in this podcast space?
Yeah, definitely. So what I want y'all to know really quick, the most important thing is your editing. So it doesn't matter the quality of your cameras. It doesn't matter what software you're using. As long as you're able to get a quality raw, piece of file, the editors can go crazy. So even people that are in clients that are in one of my programs where I'm helping clients monetize their shows or whatever, right? The first week is like remove yourself from the editing process.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to edit. What you want to do is find a show that you like their intro. Find a show that you like the outro. Find a show that you like the transitions. Maybe they got really cool animation, right? Find one or two shows that you really like. Then possibly go on Fiverr, right? Or Upwork or whatever. Find some good editors, right? That can deliver a finished product that's very similar to your references that you have. Then hit them up, send them the show files or maybe even a previous file, have them cook up some examples, and then put that out. Now, during the process, as you build this relationship up, they're gonna get better at the finished product.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get better at capturing the raw footage. So you're gonna give them more to work with. You're gonna get better at locating other shows that have similar transition. You're like, oh, that was hard, or that I love that font, or I love that colors, or I love the way they did the intro. And now you could start really improving the show episode by episode by episode. Now when you reach out to like a Grant Cardone or a Gary Vee or this person, it may not matter that like T said, it may not matter that you got 50 views on the episode, 200 views on the episode, maybe 17 views on the episode. But if the presentation is there, that may be all that you need to get a big name on the show or to get a relevant name on the show to help you go crazy. Because it is the presentation. It definitely is a presentation.
Yeah, facts. Because I mean, like, even like with one of my biggest clients, Will Rivera, right? He has a way bigger audience than me, but he asked to get on my show because he's like, bro, I could, I want you to do good, but my main thing is I just need the content. So the fact that you have that quality there, I just want you to edit the video, send it to me. I'm gonna send it to my video editors and they're gonna chop it up. So me being in the digital space, I look at this. Everything that we ask somebody is a decision based off the value that we offer. So a lot of people get upset when they hear the word no, but what that meant was you just didn't provide enough value in your ask. So what I tell people when I want them to get on the show, if I'm reaching out, I say, hey, how you doing? I go ahead and kill the limiting beliefs. I don't have a lot of views, but I got a high quality podcast. I would love for you to come on the show. And if once you do it, I'll send you 5 reels, maybe more, but about 5 reels that you can personally use for yourself on your page. So now what I did was I changed the context of thinking that they're helping me out by showing them how I'm actually helping them out. And I think for anybody listening who's doing a podcast, that's something that they should do is how do you leverage your show versus, because the first thing people are going to do is like, what's his views? What's his quality? So you got to figure out how to put the ball in their court to where it makes sense.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, vanity metrics, though they're vanity, people still hold that as a high regard to make a decision. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, killing that objection in the beginning is a really great strategy. And you mentioned no. Sometimes a no is not really a no. It just might be a no for the moment because you never
Yeah.
know what someone got going on the other end. They could be in a rush. So the no might just be like, yo, I just need to get out this conversation because I'm handling something else over here. I've had plenty of interviews with people on the podcast that took me weeks or even months or even a year to get on the show. And it was just because of scheduling. It had nothing to do with, oh, I don't want to come on this show. It was scheduling, or they had other things that were more of a priority or whatever the case may be. But just like anything else in life, if you're consistent, if you do it with intention, if it's something that you want, you just follow up. Make sure that you're top of mind. Make sure you're nurturing. Make sure that you let them know what else you got going on. Maybe there's some changes, some improvements between the last time you spoke to them and now. And then eventually it's like, okay, man, we're here. And now you have more of the story when you sit down. Like, I'll give you guys a perfect example. I'm on a podcast with Tony. The first thing I did when him and I established a relationship is I brought him value. I said, hey, bro, listen,
Yep.
I got a guest for you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I got a guest for you. Now, look, to Tony's point, right? He said that I don't got a lot of views, but I got a high quality show. So we didn't even have a conversation, but I could see the quality.
Mm-hmm.
So all that did was attract me to him.
Mm-hmm.
Did my research. I got the contact information. I reached out. Literally, the first thing I said was, "Hey, man, listen. I got some clients that are looking to get on the show. I would love for them to come on your show." Right? He's like, "All right, cool." I'm like, "I got this guy. You might. I don't know. Sure. I'm not sure if you know him or not, but he did 500 million in webinar sales. He got, he did 9.8 million in, less than 10 days of webinar sales. I'm not sure if you know about Tony sent me a picture right away. He's like, oh, Jason Fladlin? I'm like, yeah,
I'm
bro,
already
yeah.
reading this book.
Yep, I already got the book out and everything. Right, send me a picture. So okay, let's reverse engineer. Before Tony and I met, he already established quality. He already established a certain bar. That creates attraction. So that means the type of people that are going to be attracted to a show are going to be people that appreciate the aesthetic. And it's the cheat code to get him possibly the same type of guest that might choose a show that has more views, still is going to choose his show. So
Yep.
then because of that, I came like, hey, listen, your aesthetic is wild. I got a client. Boom. Now we build our relationship. So not only did he attract something that he wanted to do anyway, because he said that he was a guest that he actually wanted to come on the show. So he manifested that. But then I provided value first. I wasn't like, hey, man, listen, I know you don't know me, but I want to come on the show. It was like, no, listen, I got a couple of clients that probably would be perfect for the show. I want to give you this one first. Ended up being somebody that was on his Dream 100. Cool. Now we're circling back, right? Several weeks later. And now I have the ability to be on the show. Him and I have already built a relationship. And this all happened through the podcast and through providing value first.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So that's definitely something I want people to definitely make sure that they get. Right. Sometimes somebody that might be higher level than you, or maybe they got more money than you, right? You can't get them with money because they already got that. You can't give them with assets because they already have that. Find something that would be a value add to their situation. Maybe they got a posting problem and you can alleviate that. Maybe you notice that they got a dead link on on the Instagram. Like I noticed that a lot. Sometimes I reach out to people, I'm talking to people, and I kind of go through their links. I'm like, oh, this is a dead link. I send a screenshot, and then I'm like, yo, did you know your link was dead? They appreciate that, right? And now I'm able to kind of build a relationship. So even something as simple as that is a value add. So find something that can be a value add to build on that relationship. It'll be a much easier ability for you to start breaking bread or building with somebody that you want to build. And it's easy for you to do that if you do a little bit of research. What is going on in this person's business, their social, their space. What can you offer to be a value add or alleviate some pain or improve, the positioning or the finished product, right? And then once you figure out what that thing or things are, That's how you start to build a conversation.
Definitely, definitely. Question that I have for you earlier, you had talked about, like transitions, and this is something that I think about. What advice do you have for people, like the flow of their editing for their podcast, right? Like, let's think about it now. We're moving into a world of short form content, and then now on YouTube, we're asking people in a sense to watch our long form content. What's some of the advice you have to people to hook the customer or the viewer at the beginning so that they stay on past 2 minutes into an hour podcast?
100%. So I want to give two things. So the first thing I would say is, I've been doing this probably the last dozen episodes, right? What you want to do is you want to have a hook. So maybe two easy hooks would be one, you could take 10 seconds, 20 seconds of the pod, right? That might be interesting, meaty, that has a little bit of a little bit of flavor to it. You can put that in the beginning before the intro even comes on. And that might be like, and that could create a cliffhanger that makes people want to stick and stay and see, okay, well, I need to know the answer to this. And maybe that little segment might be, 18 minutes in. So they got to watch a little longer to get that. Another way to do that is, I like to call it a tee up, right? And basically, I tee up every podcast before you even get to the intro. So I'll be like, hey, what's going on? Today's episode is going to go wild. I got Tony on the show. This is the same dude that created that 007 fire funnel, and he makes everybody's funnels go crazy. You do not want to miss today's episode. Trust me. And I had to drive all the way to Atlanta to get this episode, right? So now you're like, oh, shoot, it's Tony. I seen that funnel, boom, 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 or whatever. And then maybe while I'm saying that, I got B-roll of the funnel. I got B-roll of Atlanta. I got B-roll of Justin and Ellie, who were his clients on that. So now you're like, oh, okay, this is interesting. I don't even know him. I never seen his funnel, but the funnel looked fire. And I know Justin, I know Ellie. That might be 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Then my intro, and then boom, the transition. Now we sitting down, at the park. So I would create something that is going to be a draw in, right? And then that way they get hooked, they get interested, and now they're down to watch it. Because this is the thing, especially if you're a new pod, like you need to build interest because they maybe not give you the same time that they might give the Joe Budden podcast. Because they're gonna be like, okay, I got 15 minutes. I could watch another episode of Joe Budden podcast. I could watch another episode of EYL. Or I could check out this brand new podcast that I'd never seen the host before, and they got a guest on that I never even heard of, right? And then to elaborate on that, when it comes to your assets and deliverability, this is what I get when a pod comes out from my editors team. I get at least 4 to 6 clips, right? I get a full video edit with transitions, intros, outros. I put my own commercials in. I get the full audio with the same thing. And I also get a 5 to 7 minute segment.
Yeah.
Right. And that segment is also big because a segment you can put out before the pod episode comes out to build a little bit more interest, or you can put that out after the pod episode comes out so you can kind of extend the interest in that particular episode. So that's about, what's that, 4 to 6. So that's 6, 8. You got about 9, 10 assets from one delivery.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then you can start going from there. So that's probably what I would say on that one.
Got you. And then for a new podcaster as well, someone who's listened to, our conversation and they're interested, what things do you tell them to get over the hump? Because even me, who's been podcasting for probably about 6 months, it's just like, it's almost like you can't get caught up just on like the views, because it takes time to like get over that flat line to where it starts growing. So people who are like, man, I'm doing this, I feel like I'm spending money, time, energy, resources, but I'm just not like peaking. You know what I'm saying? Like, what type of advice do you have, even for your clients that are probably asking you those same questions?
So I got 2 things on that one too. The first thing I would do is I will first ask you a question. The question is, what are you creating your podcast for? So if your podcast is really being created to serve an audience or serve your current audience, or be a leverage situation, then it's good. But if you're doing it just for a money play, you're gonna burn out and you're gonna stop doing it because the intention's not right. So number one, the question is why are you doing it?
Right.
Number two, to continue to do it and actually don't worry about anything other than the actual value and the service, right? I would build a community around that.
Yeah.
Because you may only need to provide a fire show for the 10, 20 people that really rock with it, right?
Yeah.
So if you know I got 10 or 20 people that are guaranteed to support my show, right? I'm making this for them. So when you're cooking up the edits, when you're investing, when you're doing this, when you're selecting your guests, when you're traveling, or when you're at a studio, whatever, when you're thinking about how to make it better, you're doing it for the people that are tapped in.
Yeah.
So I would do it for them. Now, in addition to that, if you're worried about, your investment, if you're worried about the fact that the views ain't going crazy, why don't we alleviate that by just getting you some money?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We can alleviate that by just getting you some money. So I'm gonna give y'all 4 quick strategies of how you can generate revenue without brand deals, without sponsorships, and without a large audience. You know what I'm saying? And there's so many ways to generate money with a podcast, but if you just use these 4 strategies in the very beginning, you don't need a big following or a big subscriber base to start making this money. You can literally generate as little as $1,000 a month, which is a lot of money that a lot of podcasters aren't getting. That's $12,000 a year
Hey, I'm
from
interested.
only about only like 9 to 10 clients. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that might get all your investment back. That might pay for all your edits. You know what I'm saying? That might pay for your studio time or whatever case may be, right? So number one is you want to have a product,
Mm-hmm.
right? And even simpler than that, you want to have a digital product.
Mm.
I would advise all podcasters to have, a digital product, right? Preferably like an ebook, right? Like Tony got the 10x rule, right? So let's just pretend that was his book, right? So you got perfect product placement right there, right? So get into digital product. Now there's probably podcasts out there that's probably thinking, well, what am I going to write the book about? So let me make it even simpler. Let me make it even simpler for you, because number one, it could be about your product expertise or your knowledge, cool. But how do we even make it simpler?
Right.
With your podcaster right now, you got about 4, 5, 6 episodes. Maybe you got 2 or 3 episodes. What if I told you could literally just take the transcript, right? You could take the audio from the previous episode you had, or maybe it was a fire episode that you had, episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. You could take that link, turn that audio into a transcript, take the juicy pieces out of that podcast, because maybe y'all talked about, financial literacy. Maybe you talked about personal development. Maybe you talked about, investing. And once you pull the transcript, you take out the juicy pieces and just build a digital product around that.
Mm.
You already did it.
So let's hit a pause right there. When you say the transcript, you're saying you can upload the video somewhere and pull just the words and go through them to see what's the best pieces?
Yes, brother. That's what I'm saying.
Mm. I need to know.
So you already did the work. The work's already done. You were like, damn, you're thinking in your mind, damn, episode 1 was crazy. Episode 17 was nuts.
Yeah.
Right? Brendan, I don't know how to build a digital product. Okay, cool. What was your best podcast episode? Yo, I had Justin P on the show. All right, cool. What number was that? 12? All right, bet. Let's go to the link right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's grab that link. Let's upload it right into this site. Let's see if I have it right here. I don't have it up at the moment.
I was gonna say, what site is that for them too?
I can give it to you. I would have to just, because I don't have it up right now.
Okay.
Let's go to the link. Let's go to the site. Boom. Put that link in the site. And another way that you could do it too, if you have the source file, actually this one's easier. If you got the source file, right? So let's go Justin P episode 12. Either go to where whoever's hosting the site, whoever's hosting the file, or if you have the finished file like in your Google Drive or whatever. Take the source file, go to the same website. If you upload that source file, it will take the audio, video, it will transcribe the whole thing. Now you're like, okay, yeah, I remember he talked about e-commerce, he talked about getting clients, he talked about this, he talked about that, clothing brand, bang. He gave 10 keys, boom. Find the 10 keys. Now you got the 10 keys, boom, put that to the side. I teach a strategy that you can pre-sell and make the money before the asset even comes out. So now what we want to do is you want to get a cover, right? You want to get a title to your book, and you want to get a link. Tony, can you get a cover, a title, and a link?
Yeah, that's easy.
You can get that in like 10 minutes or less, right? Boom. So now what you do is, let's say it's like, Justin's 10 keys to e-commerce dominance. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever you want to call it, right? And maybe that's even a collab with him, like, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever. That's your cover. Boom. Picture you, Ass Told on the podcast, whatever. Boom. Picture you, picture him. Bang. Now you got the cover, you got your title. Then you just want to go over to, a site like Gumroad. If you don't have a site to sell digital products, go over to Gumroad, free site. You know what I'm saying? Bang. Upload the cover. In the title is gonna be pre-order the 10 keys to e-commerce dominance. Boom. Very small description. This book is about XYZ, and it's pre-selling now, available March 1st. Put in your price, $37, $47, whatever you want to do. I like the $47 number.
Same.
Boom. Now you got a cover that represents your digital product. You got your title in there. Now you got a link. Now what you want to do is, I got a whole selling circle, but now what you want to do is family, friends, social media buddies, gym partners, current girlfriends, ex-girlfriends, mom, aunt, uncle. Send out to them, hey guys, I got this brand new product about to drop. 22 sales later is $1,000, bro.
Yeah.
It's $1,034 is 22 sales later.
Yep.
So in your first 22 sales, you got $1,000.
Yeah.
All you do is repurpose content from an episode that you already shot.
Yeah.
You ain't come up with nothing new.
Yeah.
You already shot it.
Fact.
Right? Now with that 30 days that you got, or 60 days, whatever the date that you choose between the date that you upload it and the date that's coming up, you can then get it packaged and put together. And if you don't want to do that, you can find somebody on Fiverr. So you can edit it, format it, get it packaged, get it positioned, and then roll it out.
Yeah.
Now, that between that 30, 60-day period, you can just get all of the sales that you need.
Yeah.
You could generate a couple $1,000s before the book's even available.
Yeah. Facts.
And that's number one. Now, next episode, you can be like, hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Before we get into it, I got Tony. He's going to go talking about funnels and more. I just want to let you know, if you guys are interested in learning the 10 steps to e-commerce dominance, click the link below or go to 10steps to e-commerce-dominance.com and grab my brand new ebook. Now, every podcast episode you got moving forward is now going to market that product for you, because podcast episodes are evergreen.
Yeah.
So that's product number one.
Okay. Number two then.
Number two, right? Depending on what your podcast is about, right? It could be about empowerment. It could be about finances. It could be about law. It could be about law enforcement, whatever, right? You want to build that community. I know you guys heard me say it earlier, right? So you want to build a community, but you want to build a paid community, because with a paid community, that's going to create recurring revenue through a subscription model.
Right.
Right. So for instance, Tone, what would you say roughly your overhead is to operate, your life?
My life?
Yeah, like monthly. Like if you had to just kind of like, casual number monthly, how much would it take for you to like operate what you got going on? Plus minus.
Okay. Are we talking about personal or business?
It's personal.
Okay, personal, probably like $6,000.
All right, bang, boom, $6,000. So check this out. So boom, Tone's gonna create a community around his podcast. So this community is for people that want to go a little bit deeper. They want to get a little bit more access. They want to peek what's going on under the hood. They maybe even want to be able to, just learn a little bit more about you and actually the podcast and just maybe your clients, right? So I'll give you guys an example. So let's say you and I are, we're about to take a flight, right? We got two options. There's the economy and then there's a first class, right?
Right.
So what are three similarities to both of those ticket experiences?
You're going to get
Three similarities.
Yeah, you're going to get to your destination. That's
Yep.
two. You're still on the same plane. You're just
Yep.
different experiences. Uh,
Yep.
um, and three, I guess you patronizing the same company. I don't know.
Okay. No. Those are great. Those are great. Okay. Now give me three things that are different about those experiences.
One, experience. Two, convenience, because you're going to get on the plane and off the plane first. And then three is environment, because the people that's sitting in the first class are more alike than anyone else sitting on the rest of the plane.
100%. How does that correlate to podcasting? Let me break it down. Number one, whether someone's in your community or not, they can still access the podcast. They can still watch it on YouTube. They can still listen to it on all the podcast platforms, right? Number two, if I'm in that community, I can get access to behind the scenes. I can get access to exclusive content. I can get access to maybe 5, 10, 20 minutes of any guest that Tone may have available to give some game. I might get access to, weekly or bi-weekly Zoom sessions of, of you just being able to have Q&A.
Yeah.
I might be able to get access to, quarterly meetups in the studio, inviting people that are in the community to experience the podcast live. I might be able to get access to brunches. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So the difference is this. Economy, everyone experiences that. First class, you might get a blanket, you might get a pillow, you got a wine list, you know what I mean? You got some privacy, it's less people, it's people that's more alike than not, like you mentioned. You might meet the captain, you know what I'm saying? They talk to you a little bit different, they call you Mr., they call you Mrs., you know what I'm saying? You get on early, you leave early, right?
Yeah.
So there's gonna be, and there's only a small amount of people that could be in first class because they only got but so many seats. So in your paid community as a podcaster, all you need is a small group. So Tone mentioned $6,000. So if Tone offered a community that was $99, right? And I'm gonna show y'all right here with the calculator, right? We got the $6,000. Boom.
Boom.
If we divide that by 99, he only needs about 60 people in his community. And now his podcast not only is making $6,000 a month, it's making $72,000 a year. So it's not everyone, it's only the people that it's for. So if Tone then focused on getting one person at a time, and he realized like you guys should pay attention to this, is that every person that joins your community, they're not worth $99. They're worth $1,200. And every person that you stack is another 1,200, another 1,200, another 1,200. And you know your number because my overhead is just $6,000 a month. So if I get 60 people, the money that I allocated for my budget currently, now I have an extra 6,000. Emergency fund, investing, more equipment, family, travel, this, that. Now you just stabilize your revenue. And now you have a whole extra amount of money that you can use to reinvest and make some more money or take your family on a trip or whatever you got going on. And guess what? Now your podcast is making $72,000 a year because Tony said he needed 60 people to take care of his personal overhead. That's probably number two.
Okay. What I love about that, before we even get to number three, is as an individual in this world of social media and the times we're so stuck on the macro, right? And you basically broke it down to like focus on the micro in order to grow. Because even Apple, being as big as a company they are, they said they strive to stay small. So it sounds crazy, right? It's like, y'all one of the biggest companies in the world. What do you mean you try to stay small? But it's like, even inside of such a big world, they try to figure out how do we compartmentalize stuff so that we can grow in all different areas. So that's kind of like what you're saying with this. Like, yeah, you want to come out and instantly have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's like going to the gym and you want a six-pack the first day. You see what I'm saying? But if you focus on the true value of what you're doing, Next thing you mess around and you say, dang, we got 120 members. I'm doing 12,000. You see what I'm saying? So focus on the small win in order to get to the big win. So I definitely like that before we go into number 3.
And all you got to do is give value. If you give value and you're consistently giving value and you're showing up, you can find your number. So like, Tony said his number 60. He can find 60 people that are
Yeah.
gonna want what they can what is offered in that community. Because again, you don't need everyone. You just need the few that are for you. And it's
Yeah.
not gonna stop at your number. That number just stabilizes your budget. Now you can get 61 and 62 and 70 and onward. And you can throw an engine in it. Give the people that join the community an affiliate link. Have them start bringing in people for you. And then it starts moving a little faster.
Yep. Number 3.
Boom, boom, boom. Okay. So number 3 is going to work twofold, right? So number 3, you kind of shared a little bit, right? You was like, you use the podcast as position to build your brand awareness. And as a result, you got more clients, right? So number 3, reverse pitching kind of works like that. So part 1 of number 3 is that, you invite guests on and, you obviously do, like trust through the 30, 40 minutes that you're going to have the show, hour-long show. So you start pre-framing. So generally what I do is I send a link to people that are going to come on the show, right? And then our link is going to say, hey, XYZ podcast is sponsored by my business. So let's just say podcast guesting, right? The pod agency. The pod agency, what we do is we build our clients' brand awareness by getting them on more podcasts.
Yeah.
So it literally says that, right? Question: would you be interested in getting on more podcasts? Yes, no, maybe. So if they say yes, I already know. I just pre-framed them. Now, when I get on the show or when I'm on a call to get them on the show, I can reference that they said yes to that question. Hey, listen, you said yes. Would you like to learn more about how we can get you on more shows?
Yep.
If they say maybe, same thing, right? If they say no, you can still ask them. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you said no about this earlier, but I just wanted to touch on it. Would you like to get on more podcasts? Right. So you pre-frame, you have the opportunity of pre-framing your guests to whatever offer that you might have that may be either in line with your podcast or maybe outside of your podcast. Right. And since you got the know, like, trust, the ability for you to close that or convert that is going to be a little bit higher because you actually are more intimate with that potential client. So you just reverse pitching your guests. So it's a great way for you to make money with your guests without having to charge them to come on your show or blatantly asking them to buy your product or service. And Tony literally did it, and I do it all the time, right?
Yeah.
Number 2 is what I like to call a VIP package. So Tony, what's your favorite burger spot?
Shake Shack.
Okay, boom. Imagine you and I at Shake Shack, and maybe I got you when I come in Atlanta. We at Shake Shack. You got the burger, we got the burgers, we got the fries. So whoever's at the cashier, right? They're gonna ask, "Hey, man, do you want to, do you want the upsize? Do you want the combo?" Now, generally, what comes with the combo?
Large
at this point,
large fries.
Boom. So they're just offering us a value. This ain't a hard sell. They're just giving us something that we want. We may want more fries because maybe the fries are small. We may want more fries, but we definitely want something to drink.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a value play. So how does it relate to the podcast? So listen, Tony, man, listen, I'm excited to have you on the podcast, man. It's gonna go crazy. I already know you're gonna bring the value, but I just want to know, man, are you interested in the premium package, the VIP package?
Oh, what's the premium package?
So, bro, listen, I already know that you go crazy with the funnels, and we're gonna be talking about that. But the first thing I can do is I can shoot a separate commercial about your product, because I know you got, you got a promo on funnels right now. We can shoot a little 30, 40-second commercial, put that inside of your episode. So now when people watch it, they have to run into your commercial. I can give you 8 clips that you can take from the podcast that you can post on your own, because generally, a lot of guests don't promote their long form show. So it's going to be easier for you to get more extension on the actual show.
Right.
How does that sound so far? Sound pretty good?
Yeah, sound good to me.
I'll do an email blast, to our audience, right? We got over 5,000 and 10,000 email list. So I shoot out the product right there with the direct link. We'll send it out to our text message community. We'll go live, right? You got an option. We can go live on YouTube. We can go live on Instagram or TikTok, or, depending on your schedule, we can even go live on all of them, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's only $500, man. So you can get the current experience and upgrade it to the premium experience. It's only going to cost you $500. So what would you like to do?
Yeah, let's go premium. Makes sense.
Boom, boom. So I didn't sell him. I offered him more value because it's in his interest to get more content, to
Yeah.
get more user generated content that he can post, to
More
get
people desire
to get his product and service. Exactly, get his product and service and get to more people with an edifiable offer, because it's coming directly from the host, right? And you're gonna shoot a separate commercial that you're gonna throw in the episode, and the audience watching it is already grown to know, like, trust, because they didn't spend 30, 40, 60 minutes watching them anyway.
Facts.
And learning about the thing that the commercial's about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And guess what? It's evergreen. So now the episode is gonna be selling for them even after you guys are done.
Yep. The next question I had too was like, all right, for a person who is interested in podcasts and they're doing their podcast, right, from your expertise and experience in this, and I look at where I'm possibly doing this wrong, and this is what I want to ask you. Are we making a mistake by only focusing on YouTube and not having our podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all of just the in the car experience?
Yeah. I would say you need to be there. I mean, we want to be prolific, bro. Why be one place when we could be everywhere for free?
Yeah.
So even though video podcasting is an enigma, like is very popular right now, and it's actually trending up, traditional podcasting, being an audio only experience, is still really, really popular, because it's how people know what podcasts. It's how people have grow to know what the podcast actually is.
Yeah.
So people are still taking walks. They're still taking walks, wanting to listen to podcasts. They're still in the car wanting to listen to podcasts. They're still at the gym wanting to listen to podcasts. They're still riding the train wanting to listen to podcasts. They're still doing the dishes or cleaning the house wanting to listen to podcasts, laying in the bed, right? So those are all experiences where they don't need to watch the visual.
Yeah.
So you have it on Spotify, Google, Apple, Stitcher, iHeart, and all these other platforms. You're giving your podcast the ability to rack up views, and it's a whole nother pay structure if you're getting the downloads. And if you do offer opportunity for sponsors or people to do come on your show so you can get a bag, that's a whole nother thing. You can say, hey, listen, you can get on these shows on the visual, or you can get on these shows on the audio, or you can get on both of them at this price. So you're giving yourself more of an opportunity to to make money and to grow an audience and to expand your brand.
You probably also get longer listening time, because I'm thinking, like, I noticed, for instance, like just with my own experience, like if I'm on YouTube, there's so many things firing off in my brain, like where it's like I'm watching a podcast and then I think of something, I go to a different video. But that car ride, especially, with us both living in major cities, they may play that the whole way from home to work. That could be 30 minutes.
They're definitely playing that the whole way.
Yeah. So now it's like they're digesting more of you, just because the experience of how they're digesting your content is different. I mean, even with David Shands, like his podcast was booming during the pandemic. The numbers have kind of changed a little bit just because people are back working and active. But I heard he's at like 1 million downloads on like Spotify. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we get so stuck on the main thing, which is like just video content. But like you said, I probably just answered my question. It's like, I think he's good and he has way more leverage because of that Spotify. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and let's let me touch on two things real quick. So I 100% agree with you, man. So creating a leverage and being prolific is 100%. Like, why just be on YouTube when you can be on all the major podcast platforms as well? right?
Mhm.
And then I want to just touch on with David Shands, going back to one of the points we said earlier, right? The subscription model. He's charging $79 for the morning meetup, which is basically just a community off the podcast.
Yeah,
So
fact.
he has north of 400 people in that community. So we just simply do the math. You know what I'm saying? 400 people plus minus times $79 a month. I mean, we got 31,600 a month. So if you multiply that by 12, we got 380,000 just off the subscriptions. That's
Yeah,
just the community. We ain't talking about no downloads. We ain't talking about no YouTube money. We ain't talking about no sponsorships, no brand deals, no nothing. That's the power of the community. And what do? He shows up every single day and gets one person at a time.
yep. And then also too, with going back to just business models, because like we're talking about, the principle of this whole thing is not getting stuck on just the default, but now it's like, you built a community that trusts you, right? As the presenter, the podcaster, the host. So now you can leverage whether you want to do it for network or for monetary value by bringing someone in to speak to your community. Because imagine he said, "Hey, Tom, you know, I'm gonna charge you X amount of dollars to come and speak to my community and pitch them on why they need funnels." Well, if David is telling them they need funnels, that may be 10 funnels at $2,000 that I got just from going into his situation. So he was like, I charge you 5K to come on the community and talk, but you made 20. You see what I'm saying? So there's so
Yeah.
many ways of building a tight knit community versus focus just on 100,000 views. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And I think again, if people are just focused on, gaining that one listener, gaining that one viewer, bringing them into that community, serving them with a hell of value based on whatever your category is. That's all you really need to do. I wasn't worried about racking up the views. I wasn't worried about the vanity metrics. I was just worried about delivering. Because again, if you look at, I mean, we use tone 60, but what if your overhead is $2,000 a month? That means you only need 20 people in your community and you're
Yeah.
like set free as far as, what your responsibilities might be from your job to help you bring in that 2K.
Facts, facts, facts. And then your educational piece is called Pod University.
So no, no, no. So the program that I have is called Podcast to Profits.
Podcast to Profits. I like that actually
Yeah,
even better.
yeah. Podcast to Profits, right? Because we're teaching the 4 basic steps that you need to monetize your podcast without brand deals, without sponsorships, and without a large audience. Obviously, we do touch on other strategies, but I
Mm.
just want them to focus on the fundamentals. Because if you can get the fundamentals down, then you could basically, you could secure your revenue, you can stabilize your revenue, and your podcast could start really generating 5 figures on the low from just a couple of people.
Yeah, facts. So for people who are interested and they're just like, yo, I'm excited. I don't want to hear no more. Like, how do I get started? How do I tap in to Pod Profits?
Yeah, yeah. So if you wanna learn more about that program, what you want to do is text the word pod, POD, text the word pod, POD, to 213-410-4920, right? POD to 213-410-4920. That'll get you into our text community, and then we're able to send you a link to set up a time to get on the call with us, and then give you the opportunity to get into the program.
Awesome, awesome. And then another question I had too. It seems like you have like 2 tiers, going back to the plane, we talked about the first class and then also the economy. Do you have more of a, like they're doing it on their own DIY service by getting into the organization, but you have it done for you? Like, what if somebody was like, yo, I've got a little bit more money than time, right? And I'm doing this podcast, or I even want to just blow my brand up, but I really don't have time to get people on the show. Just like you brought some of your clients to me. What does that look like for the person who has more money than time?
Yeah, we at 100%. So if you're someone that wants us to basically do it, with you, but at a high level, right? We got a 5-month experience for you, right? And that's going to come with the ability for us to really set up your infrastructure, set up your products, and really work with you to set that up. do your monetization map, so we know exactly where you want to get to, whatever numbers you want to hit, and then you'll get that service that we provide just to kind of expedite your success. But if you're someone that just want to kind of get going and you're like, hey, I just need something, then you could take advantage of the do it yourself, and then that comes with 4 weeks of support through our community.
Nice, nice, nice. So I guess like as we're wrapping up, getting to our hour, what do you just want to leave the people with? Let them know, you know what I'm saying? Because I would even say this to just pre-lead the convo, the question. It's just like, you know, when I started my podcast, it was literally just like maybe a hobby too. So people who are working, you know what I'm saying? So let's even think about it like this. I want to talk to the people right now that are working a 9 to 5 and they just feel like they don't have the time, they don't have the energy, right? The thing with the podcast is you make your own schedule, right? So like even the person who's looking to grow their personal brand and feel like they're struggling, I think the podcast is the best way because of what I said at the beginning. You're going to get so much content from it. You're going to build relationships from it. So even being able to invite some friends over on a Thursday night or a Saturday or a Sunday to get your stuff done. And in today's world, we can outsource all the editing, everything that we need. This is the perfect vehicle to jump in to start getting that content out. Because I feel like a lot of people, and Brendan, I want you to touch on that. I feel like a lot of people who aren't 100% entrepreneurs feel like they're always watching from the sidelines. And I feel like small investment it takes to get a studio that they could be jumping in this game as well.
Yeah, 100%. So what I would say is, how many conversations do you have every day?
Mm-hmm.
You got a best friend that you talk to? Do you got a group text that you're in? Do you have someone that you just, maybe y'all catching up daily or whatever? If you have someone that you talk to, or maybe a couple of people that you talk to, and it's like every single day or pretty often, then you can create a podcast. Because all that means is you're prioritizing those conversations. That might be 20 minutes a time, 30 minutes a time. It might be 60 minutes a time or more. So that means you basically have the time it may take for you to shoot a podcast daily if you wanted to. Well, what if you don't want to shoot one daily? Cool. Well, you just said, okay, yeah, I'll talk to my cousin every single day. All right. So what if you just took one day away and didn't talk to your cousin on that Friday, and you just use that time that you were just gonna spend casually talking to your relative or your friend, and you just use that to create a podcast. Now you could probably shoot 1 or 2 episodes in that block now, which is not extra time. It's the time that you was going to spend talking to that person anyway. And now you could have this platform that as you were listening to this whole episode, you could start to leverage. If you're already having conversations, all you need to do is continue to have conversations. You're not doing anything different. The only thing you're going to do is add on another component so you can record the conversations. And that might be through software, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tone mentioned, finding a studio and getting busy. You can even do it simpler than that. You might just need a laptop or your phone, get access to, Riverside, StreamYard, or even Zoom, get a tripod, something to hold your phone up. You might want to get a mic, right? Just so the audio's really crisp, because with podcast, audio is extremely important. And now you got a podcast.
Facts. And that's what I was gonna say.
That's
We're on
it.
Zoom right now. Zoom and a webcam with a mic.
Yeah, and I mean, Tone can tell you, him and I talked about this not too long ago. He didn't have the virtual experience. I was like, bro, this is another avenue that you can just add, because it might be another fire guest that might be in another part of the world. They may not pull up to Atlanta until 8 months from now or something like that, right? And it's another thing that you can do, having the ability to be audio, virtual, and in person.
Mm-hmm. And then another thing too, just to add to that, as we get to the conclusion, is just the fact of like what I started doing with my friends. I started noticing like, hey, they're all doing something that's worth being presented to the world. So what I told them is, yo, y'all not just gonna keep popping up on me at work, distracting me at my office when I'm getting stuff done. So what I did was I said, yo, if you're gonna pop up, we're going to talk about what you want to talk about on the podcast. So now it's like, if you're talking to me anyways, and I'm just sitting there, I change my perspective on it by saying, all right, if we're having these intellectual conversations, let's record them. Because now at least I'm into the conversation because I'm seeing my personal value of what I can do. Because a lot of people were just picking my brain all the time. So I'm like, let's do this on a recorded
Yeah,
situation so that we can
facts.
build content out of it. So
Yep.
someone watching from the sidelines, maybe there's someone who has a great corporate job and they just feel like, they're on the sidelines. Hey, if it's that friend that you talk to all the time, we could literally start a Zoom podcast, start getting the content chopped up and grow from there, because it's the consistency that's going to get you to that next level. So the fact that you're starting out with, a snowball or a Blue Yeti or whatever it is, mic and Zoom with $100 webcam, that's what's going to get you to say, now let's take it to the next level. And you're going to start seeing your friends, family that are watching and following you going to start giving you the props, and you're going to say, yo, I got something now. We think too much about $10,000 studio, looking at Joe Rogan, looking at Joe Budden, when we just got to start. You know what I mean?
Yeah, facts. Facts. And yeah, what I would like to do, if that's cool, man, I would love to give your audience a free gift, right? So for those that do text me the word pod, right? Pod at 213-410-4920. Text that pod to obviously get access to the program or get more information. But everyone that texts that number, I'm gonna give them 25 ways to monetize the podcast for free.
Mm.
It's a free PDF. I literally outlined 25 ways of how you can make money with the podcast. There's obviously a lot more, but this to kind of get you going in the right direction. So I definitely want to give that to your listeners.
Yo, that I mean, that's good right there. Just information. So big gift. Like, I'm probably gonna go get it just so I can figure out how to monetize my podcast. So what we're gonna do,
Facts.
we're gonna drop all the links in the description. We're gonna put the phone number on the screen. And I want to thank you, Brandon, all the way from LA, just giving us that time to just grace our show and just keep educating, bringing value to the audience. And we'll let them know you're out.
100%, man. Oh yeah. Facts, man. Well, I wanted just to close out. Want to say thanks for having me on a platform. I really appreciate it. I mean, you're building an amazing platform to help entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, bringing light to what they already have going on, highlighting their high level skills, services, and products. So, I just want to commend you and tell you to keep doing that. And I'm looking forward to us doing that in person soon. Because it's gonna be more lit than this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, and then, yeah, if you guys want to tap into me, it's literally the same handle on all platforms. It's Brendan Boyd. So at It's Brendan Boyd. So ITSBRENDANBOYD. That's on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Primarily, I spend time 50% on YouTube and 50% on Instagram. But you'll see me a little bit more on the other platforms as well. But it's the same. It's the same handle on all platforms.
Hey, you heard it from the expert herself. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, click the playlist, watch the next video. We'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.